In 2016, Joe and Roz moved from their Madison home in New Jersey to just outside Charlotte. Their new home was in a quiet cul-de-sac called Gibsale Court. At the back of their house was a small wood, a perfect habitat for the birds that give Joe so much pleasure.
Quite a bit of different type of birds and different species of birds here in North Carolina than in New Jersey, so that's nice to see. I have regular bluebirds visiting the feeder, and there's a white-throated sparrow, a winter visitor that just came in. And it's a source of great pleasure, and there's always something soothing and interesting to see.
While Joe enjoys his birds, Roz has taken up the piano again and has regular lessons. Joe's study contains many well-loved mementos.
Tell me about the chair you're sitting in. How did you get
Yes, it's a most treasured chair, and I've had it for a number of years now, and it reflects 40 years of service to Rutgers University as a faculty member and administrator, so I treasure it very much, and it's comfortable, and I look at it with fond memories all the time.
And just above you on the wall, can you tell me something about the bricks?
The bricks, yes, they were given to me when I stepped down from my administrative job as University Vice President, and those bricks come from the original building, the old Queens building on the Rutgers University campus. Old Queens is the name of the building. The college was originally called Old Queens College, a pre-Revolutionary War colonial college. Yes, they mark, again, my service, and they were given to me by my colleagues. I look at them, again, with very great fondness all the time. And
one does value it when one's own colleagues do something nice for you like that.
Oh, yes, it's terrific. I mean, a good deal of effort went into that, getting the bricks and having them mounted on those wooden standards and the little inscriptions on each side of them with my name on one and the old Queens building information on the other. This is a wedding picture of my parents, and I found it in our move to North Carolina in all the boxes and photos and material that we moved. This picture was there, and I had it framed, and it's the picture of my parents, Norma and Joe Seneca, taken in October 1937. My mother in a beautiful, long, flowing white gown, and my father looking very Rudolph Valentino looking, and I really treasure that in my study here. It's a nice link of the generations, and I hope to give it on to Matthew in time.
Did they have a big influence on you, your parents?
Yes, of course they did, and they stressed the stressing of education and close family, and really the importance of honesty and hard work and all the good values. They were wonderful, wonderful parents.
What's this black thing I'm looking at?
Yes, this is part of the armor that goes on the ongoing war with squirrels. I have no trouble with squirrels eating the food that spills on the ground from the birds and the feeder movement. But when they get up on top of here, they'll just sit there for half the day and eat everything. So I've tried everything, and it's a whole industry in squirrel proofing the bird feeders. You can buy all sorts of devices, but this is one that's been effective so far. It's called a torpedo, and you see it moves like this, and the squirrel can climb up this pole, but when it gets here, it'll go in there and then doesn't know what to do and drops back down. And then in addition, when they're in there, I finish them off with this super soaker water gun, which Roz was very dead set against, but which gives me great pleasure to give them. It shoots water 10, 15 feet, and I open the door, and when they do get on top of the bird feeder, I give them a squirt. But I've noticed that they just keep on eating. Even just it simulates rain. Doesn't seem to bother them, but it's fun. It's fun to do.
So, birds have been a huge part of your life, haven't they?
Yes, I've enjoyed being a bird watcher intensely for many, many years, and still do a lot of it as often as I can wherever I go. And it's one of those hobbies that you can do at any level, and all you need is a pair of binoculars and a chance to look up. And so I birded in England and in Europe when we visited, and a lot of birding in America and Central America, and just here in the backyard. It's always fun.
Mm-hmm. And your career really split into 2 or maybe 3 sections, is that right?
Yes, several components. There was my time on the faculty as a faculty member in the economics department, where I taught for many years and had administrative positions at the departmental level. Simultaneously, I worked at the same time with the state of New Jersey as chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, serving various governors and doing economics and economic advising.
When you were advising governors, you were quite often popping up on television, I think.
Yes, it was TV and radio and quoted in the papers frequently, trying a very difficult task of keeping to be nonpartisan in what inevitably was a partisan atmosphere and partisan policy issues. Yeah. So it just had to be done carefully, and over time I built up some credibility of being nonpartisan, and I was able to serve different governors from different parties over quite a long period of time in that same position. So that was again something I look back with pleasure and a sense of accomplishment. Well, Tom, this is a picture that I treasure. It's a picture of myself with Mrs. Hillary Clinton, wife of President Clinton, and was taken at the White House when Bill Clinton was president. And I was visiting and taking part in a reception at the White House, and I had the privilege of representing Rutgers that evening, and it was a very heady experience to meet both Mrs. Clinton and the president that night.
What year is that we're talking about?
That was early, mid-1990s.
Mid-1990s, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was fortunate to be asked to be the Vice President for Academic Affairs by a new incoming president, Francis Lawrence, and I was honored and pleased to accept that position, and I served as the academic officer of the university, Vice President for Academic Affairs, for 12 or 13 years with President Lawrence, and that was terrific.
I think you particularly valued the contact with students, is that right?
Yes, I always loved being in the classroom, and basically coming back to them after being in the administration was a pleasure. It reminded me why I got into the business to begin with. And in the last 10 years, I enjoyed teaching graduate students all that time, whereas in the first part of my career was mostly teaching undergraduates. So I had a full gamut of types of students, levels of students, and different courses. So it was always great to be in class and to interact with students. Four downs they're called,
Right.
to gain 10 yards.
As well as birds, Joe has a passion for sport.
And this is how you spend Saturdays,
Yes.
glued to the football.
Well, yes. Usually, because I like college football.
Yeah.
I don't watch the professional games.
Really?
Yes.
Why is that?
They're too stereotyped. The college games I just find more exciting and more interesting to watch. Looks
How
like
does
you
it
did.
compare with baseball in your affections? Are you as keen on baseball as
Yes.
this? Yes.
King, right.
Well, basketball, what's the order of
No.
preference? Not basketball.
Baseball, college football, and that's it.
Yeah.
This is a favorite thing. This is a ball, softball. This ball was given to me by my baseball mates, marking that I had safely gotten base hits in the 7 consecutive decades of playing softball. The 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and I squeaked into the aughts with a hit in 2010 April. There's an American baseball player, very famous, Joe DiMaggio, probably would know him worldwide, and he holds the Major League Baseball record for consecutive hits, 56 straight games. But he has nothing on me. 7 decades.
And can I say Happy Thanksgiving again?
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
yes.
Thanksgiving.
Sit forward a bit.
Sit forward. Happy,
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to break the glass.
Lovely pinging noise.
I know.
That's good glass.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a glass.
Cheers.
Cheers.
At each Thanksgiving, the Senecas read from an eyewitness account by one of the first settlers.
When they came to Delph's Haven, they found the ship and all things ready, and such of their friends as could not come with them followed after them, and sundry came from Amsterdam to see them shipped, and to take their leaves of them. Being now passed past the vast ocean, and a sea of troubles before them in expectations, they had now no friends to welcome them, no inns to entertain or refresh them, no houses or much less towns to repair unto, to seek for succour, and for the season it was winter, and they that know the winters of the country know them to be sharp. Besides, what could they see but a hideous and desolate wilderness, full of wild beasts and wild men? If they looked behind them, there was a mighty ocean which they had passed, and was now as if a main bar or gulf to separate them from all the civil parts of the world. That's it. From all the civil parts of the world.
That's something we used to read every Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we would read that, yeah.
Oh, it's a lovely thing to read.
Who found you? Did you find that bit, Joe?
Yes, it's in the, every year the Wall Street Journal publishes that the day before
really?
Thanksgiving. Yes.
Oh, lovely.
It's taken from William Bradford's
Yeah,
account of the colony.
yeah,
Yes, it's very moving.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very moving.
He's a goodie. He comes out as a goodie.
Yes, so Matthew used to read that every
Yeah.
Thanksgiving
Oh,
as
lovely.
part of our
Part of your
Tradition.
tradition.
Right.
It's
yes.
a lovely tradition.
So Eleanor, I'll give you the first slice.
What's in it, Rosie? What is the...
And what's in it
Cheese.
is pumpkin top and cream cheese layer underneath. If you like, and somebody will finish it off.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's perfect.
Tom, how much do you want?
Thank you.
About half that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll start with that.
Soil,
Yes.
layers of soil.
Okay.
This goes back to the first.
Oh,
The first dinner, I
Cream
think.
cheese.
Well,
I don't
not
know about the
cheese,
cream
but
cheese
the
part.
pumpkin.
The pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
Pumpkins
Yeah,
would
they
be
would
around.
have been
Yes.
there.
yes, pumpkins would be there.
That was delicious, Mom.
Who remembers food?
Oh wow, it is very good. Mm.
Very good.
What stage in your career were you at when you met Rosie for the first time?
Oh, that was early on. We were both graduate students. I was a graduate student at the University of Pennsylvania, and Roz came over from England to study at Penn. And we literally met on her first week in the United States, and we became friends at in the same program at Penn in the economics department, and then developed a lifelong, wonderful partnership.
I think you remember your first impressions of her?
Yes, very smart, very quick-witted, articulate, ready for adventures, and interested in everything new. Very exciting to be with her always, and still is.